Everyone hear me okay? Yes. All right, brought my notes here, so I'm going to crack that open just in case I get lost. Doesn't happen often, but unless you ask my 7-year-old son who corrects me all the time. Good morning. Really looking forward to today's conference. It's a really great subject we're talking about in operational excellence and lean. And we heard a lot of great things yesterday, so I wanted to take a second to recap what we learned yesterday. Yesterday we had our first ever we had our SAC meeting, but we had our first ever public meeting. So it was a little different where we had an audience, and we covered a lot of really good things. I wrote a couple of notes that I wanted to go over. We talked about the SAC charter and the goals, some of the things that we're working on as a Supplier Advisory Council. We talked about the need for customers to continue to get involved and how really important that is, that they support us, and how crucial it is for us to really get customer involvement. Bill Alderman reminded us again that lean is a tool to make money. Figure that, a banker talking about money, keeping us in line. And there's nothing wrong with making money, right, Bill? There's nothing wrong with it, exactly. We discussed industry awards and nominations, how C is providing an industry awards program, and how we have over 500 nominations. So we're halfway to our goal of 1,000. So that's really going well. We also covered a big industry change happening in AS 9100. AS 9100, for those who don't know, I'm sure you do, it's rolling to Rev C, and that's going to be happening even next year, and how the C roadmap is a really excellent tool to help us with a lot of the changes that we're going to be seeing in AS 9100 Rev C. And then we also discussed future panel discussions, some of the topics that we want to see on future panel discussions, and that's just a couple of points that we covered in the meeting. Speaking of panel discussions, we also had our panel discussion yesterday. So Bill Alderman led us in a great conversation and exchange of ideas. Again, thank you very much for that. That was excellent and very spirited, and I enjoyed it. We learned a lot there as well. One of the takeaways from yesterday is the MICP, most innovative, cheapest price. I'm sure Dan and Tim are going to be working on trademarking that. I thought that was pretty funny. And apparently, W Machine Works is the only one that competes on price. I learned that yesterday too. Everyone else, is somehow figured out how to compete, with, not on price, but on other things. But no, we still compete on price. So it was a really fun day. We also, it's been a while since I've spoken and since we've met. And the last conference, I believe, was in November. W Machine Works has been very busy. We've been doing, we acquired a new building and did some restructuring. So it's been a lot of fun, 2011. I don't know how 2011's treated you guys, but it's been a lot of fun. See smiles? Fun? It's been a challenge. But we have been busy. Like I said, we earned our first Cessna Award, STARS Award from Cessna. We achieved a gold rating from Boeing in on-time delivery and quality. And we also have, we are nominated for the Chairman's Award from BAE, so we're very excited about that. And I think the thing that I'm most proud of, though, is my personal sponsorship with AT&T. I don't know if you guys see my commercial out there. Hey, Marcel, watch this. Nobody? I get that from my friends all the time. Hey, Marcel, watch this. I know, it's funny. It's the most the most you'll hear the name Marcel. So, all right. So I guess I wanted to jump in and share a couple ideas that I have on lean and what I've personally experienced at W Machine Works. So I just wanted to jump in and talk about that. So, what is lean? We heard a lot yesterday about lean and how lean can help you become more profitable, how lean can help you reduce lead time, and how all the benefits of lean. But really, what is lean? And we're going to hear a lot about lean. I'm by no means an expert. I'll leave that to Art. But what is, from my perspective, what is lean? Is it a tactic? Is it a cost reduction? Is it a way to reduce lead time? Is it a Kaizen event? Well, I would argue, and what we've experienced is it's a lot more than that. It's not just tactical, but it's also a business strategy. If we can go to the next slide. For us at W Machine Works, it's how we make our decisions both short term and long term. We really train our managers on understanding lean and reducing waste. And not just our managers, and it's not just a strategy, but it's actually a culture that we've created at W Machine Works. We've taught and trained our employees to understand that we want to remove waste everywhere. not just in the manufacturing cell, it's not just a machinist thing, but it is everywhere in the organization, from accounting to quality to shipping and receiving. Everywhere we look in our organization, there's waste. And we've really chosen to look at our entire organization and make it a culture. Are you trying to reduce waste? Because waste, adds cost. It adds lead time. And so what we want to do is try to remove that. And what we've seen is that as we become a lean organization, it helps us to grow our business. One of the fears our employees have is that we're going to use lean, right, to get rid of them. We're going to automate new machines. We're going to get new machines. We're going to go to robotics. Mario talked a little bit about his direction in robotics. But employees think we're going to try to get rid of them. But what we do at W Machine Works is we're saying this is a chance for us to help us grow the business. So what happens is as you reduce lead time, as you reduce costs, as you get leaner, you create capacity. And as we create capacity, we want to now have our sales and marketing team go and sell that capacity. And because we're lean, because we're cheaper, and I do compete on price and lead time, but because we can do that, now we can grow the business, selling the excess capacity. So we found that lean is not just a cost reduction strategy, but it really does help you grow your business. But it also, as we saw from some of the from Womack and the other in the previous slide from Mickey, it takes discipline. It is not easy. It's very easy actually to create waste, and we're looking for employees that really can help us and be disciplined, because it takes a very disciplined approach, and it has to be company-wide. It has to affect the entire company, not just at the manufacturing floor. Next slide. So one of the things that we do at W Machine Works is we try to make sure that we have all the employees on the same page. So we look at our values. Do our values as a company support a lean strategy? Do we have the right set of values that will help us to become leaner so we can reduce costs and have happier customers? So we look at some of our values, for example, accountable. Right? We want employees to understand that you're going to be accountable for what you did. We want them to understand that when you said you were going to do this by this date, we do it. And so one of our values is accountability. And next, determination. Like we talked about when Mickey talked about in her slide earlier, determination. It's really easy to do things that are going to create waste. And a lot of times, the first time you try something, what does it do? It fails. Right? So you have to be determined to say, we will succeed. This will work. It has to work. We know it will work. So one of the things that we want to promote at our company is determination. And then next is innovation. We want to be innovative. We want to think outside the box. We want to challenge our ideas, challenge our paradigms. W Machine Works has a very rich history. We've been around since 1978 when my father started the company, and there's still a lot of baggage there, to be brutally honest. Baggage, when I talk about baggage, there's a lot of ideas that we said, this is what the customer wants. This is what good looks like. But when we really challenge ourselves, it's not what the customer wants. And there's a better way of doing things. So we want to think of new ways to make parts faster and challenge our paradigms. And next, we want employees to understand that they have to be proactive. All right, we need a team of 57 employees all working to saying we want to reduce waste. And it's not just I'm going to wait till Marcel or Randy or our COO or, my brother's Randy, by the way. He's the Chief Supply Chain Officer. We're not going to wait for them to come to us. We're going to actually be proactive and say, hey, Marcel, watch this. Hey, Marcel, we need this fixed. And then collaborate. It's really important that we have employees that are going to understand and learn to work together. Because what we find is that businesses are really ecosystems. They're really interdependent. But employees, they don't quite understand that. So what we'll see sometimes is purchasing will make a mistake. So if purchasing writes a PO and makes a mistake, does that affect just them? Right? No. That affects receiving. So now the product comes in, and maybe we ordered the right product, but we just wrote it incorrectly on our purchase order. So now receiving has issues. They can't receive it in. And then invoicing, accounting has issues, right? But the guy who made the purchase order says, oh, it was no big deal. I made a little mistake. right? But everyone is interdependent. We need to work together and collaborate and recognize that we all depend on each other. And then lastly, we're doing this for the customer. We want to keep the customer in mind when we practice our lean and our lean strategies, that this is about doing things for the customer. And if the customer isn't going to get a cheaper price, if the customer's not going to get reduced lead time, and the customer's not going to get a better quality part, then why are we doing it? Dan talked about that yesterday a little bit, where he was it California Space Authority you were at, I believe you said? And they were saying that if you're going to do lean, and it's not going to affect the bottom line, and the customer's not going to see it, why are you doing it? Why? So we really want to keep the customer in mind and recognize that the customer has to benefit from this as well as the company. Next slide. So how do we do that? How do we change things? How do we get employees to modify their behavior? What message do we send to employees? How do we do that? I think a big part of that is in how we measure them. What metrics do we create for them? Because how we measure employees, how we measure people, is how they're going to behave. What gets measured gets improved. One of the things that we came to the realization is, we're a very process-based company. We're C certified. We're all about process. And we found that there was a couple processes where we were working together as a team. We said, how are we measuring that process, the results of that process? And we looked around the room and said, we don't know. So then when I asked the question, are we committed to the process without being committed to the results? And we had to really ask ourselves, how do we measure things? What are we measuring? Because we want to make sure that we measure the results of our processes. And so I know in C, we have 6 measurements, right? We have on-time delivery, PPM, inventory turns, the quick ratio, which is a new one that we've added. And the 5th one is did I say inventory turns already? I think I did. There was one missing. I have the worst memory. Sorry. But there's one missing there. Processes at level 3. That's the one I was missing. So, it's very important on creating simple measurements that employees understand. And they have to understand a couple things. Go to the next slide, please. Right? We want to know, employees need to understand, what are they expected to do? And how do their actions impact their measurements? Is the measurement so complicated that they have no idea how they can affect it? Or is it simple enough that they can say, if I do this, by the end of the day, I'll know that my measurement is in place, and Marcel's not going to be upset. And the customer's not going to be upset with us. So we want to make measurements that are simple, that they can understand, and then we want to make sure that employees understand how they can impact those measurements. Next slide. So when I first started at W Machine Works, and this is going to be my 16th year, it was all about, we get the job done. Get her done. That was it. We didn't think about process. We didn't think about how we got it done. Was it repeatable? We just said, get it done. That was it. And we got it done the first time, patted ourselves on the back, got the reorder, messed it up, did something wrong. I thought, you knew how to do that? Well, no, this guy did it over here. He's not here anymore. Well, let's call him and see where he is. Maybe he knows he can help us with it. So we weren't focused on process. Today we are focused on process first, and then we're going to measure it and see how, because we're concerned about how did we get it done. And the reason we care about how we got it done is because we want to make sure it's repeatable. Can we do it over and over and over? Are those results that we achieved repeatable? Makes sense, right? But that's been a new philosophy for us. Our focus now is on process first to achieve the results, because we want to make sure that we can repeat it. Again, C is a process-based organization. Next slide. All right, and talking about operational excellence, we have some great processes that support a lean strategy. Processes like Kaizen process, right? What are you improving? 6S. Are you doing the sort, the shine? Is your place visually appealing? How quickly do you change things over? Material management. That's obvious one. Production planning. And then a new one that I've seen is development process. How quickly can you get new parts done, new product? I went to go to a customer conference, And at the customer conference, they really are concerned about how quickly can their suppliers put new product into the manufacturing floor. They want to see a process for that because they're recognizing, as all of us are, that this aerospace industry is changing really quick. New programs coming out, and we need to be able to ramp up and support our customer need as quickly as we can. Do we have a process in place to make sure that we can get the product made correctly to the customer the first time when we've never made it before? So thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and hope you have a great day and a great conference. Thank you.